Hey guys, back to the toil, and today we are looking at a couple of issues. We are looking at our creation tool, which is a way to easily add content to a level and set it up in a logical manner, which is using this tool here, which is an editor widget. And the other thing is the ladders, because this has thrown up our first issue with the tool. So what we're going to do is we're going to check out, and that has got not the greatest of pivot points. And our issue here is that a scale is getting changed somewhere. Okay, you can see that from when I did it. It appears. Now let's do it for this one. And it's over there. So we're going to delete that, and we're going to set it down here. Now, that's actually the correct size, but we can see, right, that we need the scale changed on this. We can basically bend that over, then move it to here, and that gives us a nice ladder. Okay, now you can see the top and the bottom are being calculated correctly. Okay, there's a box at the bottom where you start, there's a box at the top, and there's a collision box around the pivot point where you basically will start your climb. The next thing is that we know that this particular ladder isn't doing the same thing. Okay, so there we have our ladder. We need to spin it. That's the wrong one. We need to spin this one around. And we noticed that that changed size. And that is actually correct now. Even though that's not the correct mesh at all. Right? That's changing meshes. Okay. That's actually changing meshes as we go. Object mesh, outline mesh. Okay. Right, okay, so I'm getting the idea here that this is because it's pulling the mesh from the interactable. Okay. So this is one of the things that we're going to have to change. So we're going to have to go into BP Interactable, and we'll gradually change things around. Okay. Now this is the BP Interactable, and it's not, I don't believe, yeah, it's not doing anything there, which is fine. So it's in the interactable item itself that we need to change it. Okay. So we take a look at this. And we basically don't do this. Okay, so we're going to stop that. We're going to save that. And we're actually going to stop that. And you'll notice now that our ladders have disappeared. So I'm going to delete the two ladders, right? And we're going to build it from the start. So with that in mind, we come in here, we select the ladder, we go with our first ladder that worked. Okay. I'm going to drag it out. I'm going to change the scale. Then we're going to rotate it. Then we're going to drop it to the ground. Okay. Now our next thing we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing again, except we're going to do that. Okay. But the problem here is that we have the correct bottom collision box, right? But we don't have the correct top position box. Okay. So we need to go back to our ladder and find out why it is not calculating the correct line. And if we look at this, it is setting it there. And that should not be the correct position. Okay. So we should be getting our bottom origin and our top origin so this is fairly obvious. We need to move the top collision to the actual extent. Okay, so what I'm going to do, so that we can check this, is this should be 0. Okay. And we should be getting the object mesh and we should be getting its component bounds right. And maybe we should actually get maybe local bounds. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a print string here, because I want to know what this value is. And we should actually be getting local bounds and we should be getting the max Z. And that should not be going in there, I can tell you that much. So we should be going in here, and if we are correct, this number right, we should be splitting that. Our Z should be going in there. Now this still isn't quite right, but we'll work from this for now. And we'll break this. And we'll put X and Y in here. Okay. And we're going to escape that. And not hidden. Not hidden. Right, so we should see our two collision boxes. I see one. I don't see the other. So I'm going to stop that for now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this one. Right, now I'm going to stop everything for now. I'm going to go to here. We're going to join this back up. Then we're going to say switch on interactable. Right, we're going to plug everything in here except the ladders. Okay, so that our game kind of looks okay, and we'll gradually get rid of these as we do them. Right. Ah, god damn it. Actually, we might be okay. Right. So, what we're going to do going to go back to our BP ladder. And we're going to add a breakpoint here. Now, interestingly, we'll delete that again. We'll add our ladder in. Okay. The interesting thing is about that scale, right? So, if we press play, we should have got a breakpoint. And that still does not appear to be the right thing. Okay, so I am going to go apparently this does not break even though we have a ladder. Now what I need to do in this case is go to here, open this up and find our ladder, which is other. Okay. So we need to break that, right? And there we go in our ladder, right? Step over, step over. We get this value, which is 419143. We step over, and we get 0. Now, do we have an object mesh at this point? Is the question. So if we step over, we have the top origin, bottom origin. Top origin, our Z is 0. So 2093781. 2093781. But our X is not whatever. Let's get local component bounds. It's not giving us the value. Right? It's not giving us the proper value. So I'm going to go for box extent and press play. Step over, step over, step over, step over, and now our bottom is 419 and our top is 0. Right. Now I'm going to do this print string in here, but we're going to print out what the object mesh is at this point. Okay. And we're going to give it 60 seconds. We can press play, resume, resume. And it did give us something. But now our wildlife AI is printing out a whole load of stuff. Now, is it the blueprint or is it? I'm pretty sure it's the animation blueprint that's printing this stuff out. Right, so NBP and the event graph, and yep. Okay. BP ladder 19. Now this is getting a bit weird. This object mesh we might actually want to get the static mesh. And that's not what it is. Okay. So now our ladder has actually disappeared. Let's have a look to see. As you can see there, our ladder has completely disappeared. Well, I've got to say this has got me a little bit confused. So it certainly has got something to do with the interactive item. Okay. Because basically, if I go back to here and I say ladder and then mesh only, Right, there we go. There's our ladder. Okay, and if I press play, there's our ladder. Okay, so that's all fine and dandy. Our issue here is that our ladder is being replaced and maybe the best idea here is to do that, right? So we do not have, nothing's going to appear on the screen, right? Because they're all interactable items. Now I've told it not to set up the interactable item. Okay. So I think the idea here is to press play now. Ooh, it does not like that at all. No, we're okay. Okay, we have our ladder. Okay. But the interesting thing is, as you can see, its minimum point is 429, okay? But we step over, step over, step over, and we find out what our bottom point is, which is 429, and our Z is 176. Okay. So I'm going to say that we break that, we multiply it because it's half height, so we multiply it by 2, and then we add it to this Z, and then we plug it in there. How's about that? Okay. Step over, step over, step over, over, over. And now we should have 429 and approximately 780-ish. So we go bottom, 429. Stop that. We want this value in here. And what we'll do is we'll add a breakpoint here. We'll disable that breakpoint and press play. Resume. So we have bottom origin 429, top origin 781. Okay. Resume that. And we have our box. Okay. And now we have to move top collision and we set the location oh, that's going to be a bit different actually. Okay, gonna have to think about this one because it's not quite as straightforward as it sounds. But what we are going to do, oops, wait a minute. We're going to split that. And for the sake of argument, to start with, we're going to do that, and we're going to do that. Okay. Okie dokie, so there's something going on here. So bottom collision. Top collision. (181). Right, so okay. Okay. So that and that, save that. Press play. Now we stop this, and this isn't quite right. Okay, because we don't add it on, we add this on. Okay, now the interesting part here is going to be if we do anything to this after the fact. So we've got our bottom box there. And our top box should have been up the top. So there's something kind of weird going on here. Bottom collision 000, top collision 352. Right, so the question is, where is it? Unless I've got it still hidden. That should be 0. It's hidden in game, okay. And there it is. Okay, so that's now calculating our... Hi Floby, how are you doing, bud? So that's now calculating our top and bottom, right? But what we haven't done is taking into account the angle, right? Because basically we need to spin this 180 degrees and then basically bring it down a bit. Okay. And it's on the ground apparently. Do that. Okay, now when we look at this, and my very annoyance with this is I had done all this before, but obviously hadn't made it dynamic enough, right? Because our collision box is most likely perfect. Middle school developers, quick question, fire away. How do you make a pickup system? You make an interactive item, which basically you make you work with interfaces, okay? And it all depends how complicated you want it to be. Right, but I'm going to put something back to show you kind of how mine works a bit. So there's all sorts of ways of doing it. It depends on your game. Is it auto pickup or is it something else? Or see, for example, mine isn't what you would say is a pickup system. It's more of an interaction system. Right, I'll let you see basically how one of my things works. So we'll forget ladders for a second. And we'll remove that breakpoint. Right. So, if you walk up to an item, right, it'll give you use or pick up. And if I pick it up, it picks it up. Right? And if you now go into your inventory, you'll notice that it's in inventory. Okay? By the way guys, another fix I made yesterday was this is working a lot better now. It's not as opaque. So basically each item in my case has different options available depending on how interactive the item is. For example, eat, pick up, inspect, right? Because it's, you can eat it, or you can pick it up, or you can inspect it, right? Or you can have something in this system where, oh, you can interact with it, but it's not allowing me to. So how did that work? Right, well, actually you need to pick up wood. Right, and then it gives you the ability to light it. Okay. So yeah, it's dependent on your system how it works, right? But you need to use interfaces or event dispatchers, take your pick. Personally, I find it easier to use an interface for this, because you know what item is, right? Basically, here's how it works, right? If I go over this item, it becomes the interactable item. Okay? Basically, in my pawn, I will set up a variable called interactable item, right? So what happens is that as you collide with that item, it becomes the interactable item. Then in your pawn, you basically fire off to that item to pick up the item using an interface, and it sends the command to that item, right? And then you do what you want to do with a particular item. So for example, this food item, right, if you pick it up, and here's the interface call, right, you add the item to inventory, right? If you inspect the item, it fires this interface call, right, which basically does object inspection, right? If you use the item, in this case, it's a food item, so you eat it, okay, which is an interface call. And that's how it works, okay? There is an overarching class that these are all parented to that switch off things like can use, can inspect, can pick up, can get more info, or needs resource, right? And these decide which of the widgets and options on the widgets that I'm going to show, okay? So basically, you will notice here that this item here, if I look at, there's a can use is ticked, can inspect is ticked, and can pick up is ticked, okay? So if I collide with that item, it uses them to build that. So you've got eat, pick up, inspect, okay? Now if I go to that item again and I say get more info and I save it and then press play, you'll notice that another option will pop up, which will be inspect, more info, okay? And basically, if these options are allowed or not is whether or not I fire the interface call. So if you can't use, it won't allow you to fire the interface call to use, right? If you can't get more info, it will not allow it, right? So if I turn all of them off and press play, right, you will notice nothing happens. You don't get any options, okay? But if I say can pick up, can inspect, and set it back, I can now use the item, okay? And that's how it works. And then each object type has its own use interface event. Like if it's food, the use means eat it, so I fire eat. If it's a drink and it's a drink object, then it fires drink, right? And that tells the player what it's going to do with that item, whether it's eat it, whether it's drink it, whether it's to light it in the case of a fire, if it's going to pick it up, etc, etc. Okay? But I'm in the middle of a major change at the moment, which is this thing here, right? Because of my editor widget, which is this, where we can bring in objects at our leisure and basically in a much easier way where you can just set up all the options in here, right? That's causing us a bit of an issue, but it was part of a bigger design change anyway, right? So basically I can now do this, and if I say mesh only, right, I've just basically brought in that mesh, okay? Now you will notice right that if I now press play, because it's a mesh only, it's not going to do anything, right? So it's purely scenery, right? You'll notice nothing happens when I walk up to it, right? Nothing. Okay, but if I do it again but create an interactable, it basically will set up the interactable version, right? So if I do that, then press play, you will notice I can now interact with it, right? And this isn't quite working yet, or maybe it is now. It is weird. And she does climb right to the top now, which is excellent. So this is actually now working. Which is obviously fantastic. Right? So now, if I do that, okay, and we walk over to the ladder, right? Now, it's not ideal yet, obviously, but getting the mechanics of it working first is half the battle. And to get it to build these ladders in a dynamic way is kind of the whole thing. So we want basically about minus, let's say 38. Oh, I put, okay, so that's still a bit too much. So let's say minus 36. Minus 35. Go with that. Okay. So if I now go up to here, and the thing is, the thing now is that this is actually nearly right, okay? If I now go to the ladder, this actually goes in there. And that gives us the correct top origin, which means that we're going to climb to the correct position. Okay, so we're going to climb up. We were basically climbing straight up instead of, you know, moving on the X as well there, which obviously wasn't quite right. Now I'm going to test that in a minute, and that's after I have a quick break for a cigarette. So if you're enjoying the stream, hit like, subscribe, check out the description for my Discord, Patreon, and my previous game on Steam. And I shall be back in a couple of minutes. Don't go anywhere, folks. Okay guys, we are back. Thank you, Hilda. I don't know what you think is nice, but thanks anyway. So, that's working. Okay. And we need to now tidy it up. Make sure that we're using what we need and not what we don't need. And you can delete that out. You can do that, save that, and press play. And that is not what we want. I don't think it is. We'll try it, but I don't think that's right. Nope, didn't think it was right. And if we look at our viewport, right, our bottom collision, so our bottom origin should be 0, 0, 0, right? That should be the tall and the short of it. Okay. What I've done there, I have no idea, but whatever it is, I broke it, which is always awesome. Right. So we're going to go back to our ladder. I don't know what this is. I've got no idea what that is. There's something on the ground there next to... Hey, somebody. Hi, Blue Eagle. Somebody, I don't know what you mean by a prize. You can release it for free if you want, but you still need to pay $100. And if you release it for free, then basically you're not getting $100 back. That's not going to the top. Right. And whatever that is... Okay, maybe I need to delete it again. And I don't know what this is. Unless that is the landscape, which is a pain in the neck. Right, there's still a ladder. Yeah. I knew there was a ladder there. So if I want this, okay, and the actual fact of the matter here is, right, we need this in the construction script because we can't see what's actually going on, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy okay, maybe I'm not. I'm going to copy that, right, and I'm going to put it in the construction script. Right, because I want my box. I want my two boxes. Right, create. And I don't know why it's not doing it, right, but for some reason it's not setting it as my selected item. Right, now here we've got our start point, right? That's cool. But where is our end point? Where has our end point gone? And the answer to that is I've got no freaking idea. No, it's always 100. It's always 100 to get a key. Now, where is our ladder? Where is our top box? Have I completely screwed this up? It is possible. In fact, it's very plausible. So, we need this to be working properly. Simple as that. So, we're going to go to our object mesh, right? And we're going to select a ladder as a reference. And if we do that, there is our box. Right, now, if we do that, it's not moving it to Y. Right? And this is something that I had actually sussed out previously. you'll notice that it does go to the right height. Okay, so if I go to left, or probably front, you will notice that our box is at the right height. Okay, so basically if I make it go further, our box goes down. Okay, but now our y value is incorrect. Okay, no, you're not buying a game, you're buying an individual key where you can set up the game, right? You need to use that to set up all your shop, your images, your demo trailer. All of that is set up when you buy a key for a new game. It basically tells Steam the code for where that game is and all the stuff associated with it is. Okay? Right, so no, you're buying the game. You don't get a key unless you buy a key that'll unlock a game, right? If you're buying it directly on Steam, basically you're missing out the middleman, right? You're going straight from buying it to having it, right? Whereas I know that some sites will sell keys to games, right? So I'm pretty sure that's probably how it works when you gift a game on Steam. That buys a key to buy the game, right? Or gives you a key that will buy the game. You don't need to worry about any of that if you're releasing it on Steam because it does it automatically. Right, so this Y value is wrong. And I'd be interested just to plug this in here. Just to find out what that does. Right, and then we can take it from there. So this isn't, okay. This isn't changing Y because we're not changing Y in the construction script. So basically, if we do that, and then we recombine these and do that, right, and then go to our viewport, and then this is going to be pretty much a ×2 as well, so we may as well do that right now. So that is going to be multiplied by 2, because remember it's only half the value between it, right? So now it still ain't working. Bottom collision, top collision. So why are we getting that? Box extent. Interesting. Oh, I'm an idiot. Plugged that in the wrong place. And I didn't mean to do that either. Right. So trying to get this on screen for you guys. Oh, there's a thing I should do. I keep forgetting to do this. You guys need to remind me to do this for you so that you can see this better, right? Right, so you can see that we want half the distance of our actual mesh, right? We know that the box extent is 16. Right? So our actual value should be dooba multiplied by 2 minus 8. Right, so we should say minus 8. We could actually, this is not a great idea, it's okay just now, but it's not the greatest idea. We should really get the box extent and then divide it by 2 for the actual collision box. And even that isn't quite right, because the middle of it, we want it right here. Now if that's only half the value, maybe it is the full extent. Let's have a look at that in the construction script. And that would be obviously 16, right? Now, if you're wondering where I'm getting the 16 from, it's from our top collision, the box extent, right? That's where the 16 is coming from. Now, what we should really do is get this value, right? Which is what we'll probably do in a minute, but I'm just checking to see what is the right value, and that looks pretty darn good to me, right? So in effect, you'll notice that it's not doing it with a ladder that's already built. And it would appear to me that this is going to have to go back into begin play, because it gives us the value here, but it's not updating because you can only construct it once, right? So what I'm going to do is, in our construction script, right, we're going to get our top collision. And then we're going to get box extents. Then we're going to break it. And then we're going to get the Y value. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to try to tidy this up a bit. Okay. Let's tidy this up a bit. And we probably actually don't need to set this, right? Because we've not probably used the values here, right? The bottom origin, top origin incline difference to actually work out what we're doing. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to drag that out a bit. I'm going to copy that. Then I'm going to break this. I'm going to go to our event graph. I'm going to delete that, and then paste that back in. Okay. And we aren't kind of going to see these. So we'll say minus 60, right? And then we'll press play, and hopefully we should see there is a box at the bottom there. Our box at the top is not right though. Okay. Now the question is, it's not right. It's not right either way. Right, and I'm getting myself rather confused by everything here. So I'm going to take off that thing there. Okay. And now our Y is way off. Our X is also, our Z is also way off. Right. And I don't understand why it's doing that now. Oh, I've hit one of those days where nothing's going right. It was all working fine and then it wasn't. Right, so there's something going wrong here. So let's not do that. Let's not multiply that by 2, and let's not multiply that by 2. Right? Right, so what are we getting here? What we're getting is something that is slightly off. Now, here's the thing. What we actually need to do here is basically, if we look at it, right, we need to set up the relative position between this and this. Okay. Which we did have. Right. There. We have it here. Okay. So if this is correct, right, if this is the right thing, why is this changing it? The only thing I can think of here is this parent is doing something to it. Right? That's the only thing I can think of here that's mucking us up. Right, if we go back to here, and we're doing this minus y, right? Oops. Right, so we're doing minus y. And that goes in there. Save that. Now I don't see why that would do anything to it, but right. If we press play now, there's our box at the bottom, and our box is still too high. Now, okay, whatever. So that's because we stopped it doing the parent, right? So I think we're going to go back to a draw line to find out what the heck is going on here. Alright, so okay, whatever. and this thing has just went absolutely ballistic, so that's a load of crap. So we're going to do draw line, okay. And we're going to get these. And it's not a draw line, by the way. It's a debug line. Line start, line end. Duration, let's say, might need to put an event tick on this, to be fair. We can always put 60 seconds. And we shall make it red, I suppose. Well, that's kind of orange, but who cares? Okay. Okay, that. Right. So let's see how our line is drawn. And apparently we don't have a line. So that's kind of awesome. Did I add that to the construction? Nope, it's the event graph. That would suggest that this is not firing. Which I don't believe, by the way. Ah, okay. Okay, hang on a second. We don't want these per se. Right? What we want is bottom collision. Stop that just now. We want bottom collision, world location. Right, so we're going to delete that. We're going to duplicate that. And we're going to say top collision. And that's going to go in there. Right. Where's our freaking line? Right, so it's saying draw line. Thickness is 0. Idiot. Why would you ever want to do that? Why does it default to 0? Alright, where's our solid line? Where is our sodding line? It's one of those days, you know, where you go backwards. Right, so that's right. Our top 426. Those are basically the same place. Okay. Hi, Screen Apple. No, we're not having pets, I'm afraid. Having enough trouble today getting a ladder to work. Right. Right, so that's a bit better. Okay. Okay. Resume. And there we've got our line. Right, thank goodness for that. Okay, we have a line. Lines are good. We have one. Okay. So, that's all well and good, but it's in the wrong position. So, let's have a look at that one more time. And the other thing is we're going to clear that. And did I just completely screw that up? Interesting. And now things are getting a bit... Yeah, it's one of those days, isn't it, where it's going to just basically not work at all. It's going to be one of those days where nothing works, everything goes wrong. And this is because of the 30% thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it its own window. Right. So we've created our own. Now, don't ask me why. Don't ask me why it has given it a rotation, because I severely do not know. Right? I have no idea why it's done that. And don't ask me why it's suddenly working perfectly. because I don't know the answer to that either. Right, but you can see that that worked absolutely perfectly. Oh, it's because I'm an idiot. Right, wait a minute. I had changed the ladder in here. So basically it had a 25-degree rotation on it, which is why basically it did what it did. Okay. And this has gone a bit weird because I changed the size of our window or our and that's just not going to work like that. Right, we're not going to worry about that for now, right? But now we should be able to give it an angle, drag it in, and now when we press play, what in the heck? Okay, well, I'm going to call it there, guys. If you enjoyed me making a mess of things and trying to remember how I'd done them in the first place, then hit like and subscribe. Check out the description for my Discord, where I probably answer questions incorrectly, going by today's stream. Just one of those days, I'm afraid, guys. Patreon to support the channel and the game, and my previous game on Steam. I'll be back at 8 PM Central in 4 hours time, where hopefully we'll have this all sorted out. It'll all be working. We'll forgot about today's stream. So thank you guys for watching. I shall catch you on the next one. Bye bye for now.